Another episode of the Steven Sully Study. We're joined with our good friends here, Mimboso, and also Tony in the background. We are at Crystal Palace Sports Ground?
Sports Centre, yeah.
Sports Centre. This is a first for me on 2 points. Number one, the first time I've sat on the ground to do an interview. And the second thing is, first time I've got Olympian on my podcast, Conrad Williams. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Nice to meet you, man.
So as I mentioned earlier, this is a 3-stage process. I was training with Mel Dean, rugby player, then interview. Bradley Skeet, train with him, sparred him, interview. And then yourself, train with you in the gym.
Yep.
And now an interview. And what my goal is to do, my mission is to find, number one, what makes you guys so different in regards to how you train. Maybe slightly the psychology when it comes down to your certain craft. But then also what makes you fairly similar as far as the will to win, your drive, your determination, your grit, that kind of thing. So a bit of background about you, Conrad. Like, how did you start getting into athletics?
Background for me is I come into athletics really late, but in school I was always interested in running and stuff and basketball. I played a lot of sports and everything. So, but for me, athletic-wise, I left it till about 21, turning 22 when I literally did my first race for the South Bank University. So for me, it was pure luck, pure chance. You know, I had an opportunity to go and basically just see what I can do. I went down to my local track on a Tuesday and I said to the guy, you know, I'm looking to get into athletics. And he said, come down, we see what you can do. On that Saturday, I was in the team.
Wow.
So it took about 3 days for me to get in the team, but I didn't find what event I was good at. So I had to do a few events, the long jump, I did the triple jump as well. And I went to the British University indoors my first year and I came third. And it was at that point I realised, okay, maybe now I need to actually take this up full time and really go and find good training somewhere.
So even a small life lesson there for anyone listening to this. Sometimes in people getting into business, following a career, trying to get into sport, and they seem like they haven't found their groove just yet, and a lot of people will give up. As you were talking, it reminds me, I love watching and listening to podcasts and looking at people's stories and reading about them, and it reminds me a little bit as Ian Wright found football later on in his life. He always wanted to be a footballer, but never quite made it until I think he got to about 19 years of age or 20. And as we well know, up until Thierry Henry, he was a higher scorer for Arsenal at one point. So it's testament to the fact that if you keep on persevering, keep on being positive, and also having that focus, your chance will come up. So I take it you always had a kind of a natural desire to be an athlete?
Deep down, I had a competitive mindset. Deep down, I've always wanted to perform. Like I said, I've always wanted to do basketball growing up. So for me, I've always loved sport, and for me, it just took me a little while just to make sure. Cut.
That's all right. Adds to it.
Yeah, there you go. It just, for me, it was down to the fact that athletics for me was one of the sport I really wanted to put all my energy in, because I liked the way the training was and everything else like that growing up. But I was so competitive, I made sure I had to be disciplined at the same time as being competitive, because athletics, you don't get everything you want straight away. You have to work harder. You know, you can't just, even if you're talented, you still have to make sure you put the hard work in. You know, so. And I think that's the bit that I like, that the discipline and everything like that comes with it, I learned on the way. So for me, it just seems like it was the best route for me to obviously become a top level sports person.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm very young in my business journey, and I've got a lot to learn still. But thankfully I've started a few businesses and it's going okay at the moment. But I always say, and I always admire athletes, like the people I listen to mostly when it comes down to podcasts isn't actually business people, it's always athletes, because I love the grit and determination that most athletes have, especially fighters and people like that, because they get knocked down, they get hurt, and they get back up and carry on.
Come back up.
And I always say to people, you think business is hard, you try and become a top level athlete. You're talking about let's say county level, very difficult. You go a little bit higher, you get to national, then world level. I mean, they're completely different planets apart. What would you say separates like someone from just county level to, let's say, national level, and then going into Olympics, like international?
The good thing with running is what it does, it gets you prepared for each stages of your career. So if you're at the county level, you know each round, so each event you have to go to the final, you have to qualify. So mentally, you know there is another stage, another step. So if you turn up on the Monday doing your racing, you know by the Wednesday, you've got 3 races. So they're always stepping stones. So the county level guy, he realised to be the best in my county, I have to win or do really well in this level. But he already got one step in his mind. He needs to go regional, which is the south of England. And then from the south of England, you go to the nationals. And then there is when you now race against everyone in the country. So it's always a stepping stone to the next. And once you get national, you know, okay, now it's time to go and put your talents to the best in the world.
Yeah.
And that's where the difference comes in. Once you're now world class, the times you run and the performance you do take you out of the county level, because there's a certain time at certain counties that you expect, and you won't be able to expect to do that. A county race with the same time would never win a world championship. So you see how hard, you see the stages, and athletics has a way to teach you. You have to keep getting better each stage. No matter how quick you are, there's always going to be room to improve. And that's when you get to the world level, where there's no room for error. Everything has to be literally an inch perfect to even compete with the best in the world, because you're going to go against, you know, the best in every country. And they're not going to be sitting at home not training, they're going to be doing the work. So you have to make sure you also be putting in the hard work. So that's what makes it so difficult when you're at the top.
Going back to like the comparison I gave about business versus athletes and top pros, I'm not saying you can switch off completely with business, because even when I'm having my family days, there is probably 5%, 10%, maybe a bit more than that actually, I'm thinking about work, because I get it all the time. My missus says to me, she's talking, she says, "You're thinking about work, aren't you?" And I'm like,
which is understandable,
But I think it's when you're passionate about something, you are going to slightly think about it. But athletes, in my opinion, because I've been around a few, predominantly boxers, but there's, you know, people like Ruben Tabares, who spoke about, who's part of Mimboso, you can never really switch off, because you've got to think about your nutrition. Like with a business person, if I wanted to, I could probably survive on junk food but still perform with my business.
Work.
You've got to do your rest, your stretching, you know, your sports therapy, your training. And there's people to think, if you're let's say a track runner, I'll get them on the track and they do running and that's it. It's far from that. You're in a gym. We've done a gym session earlier, which we'll talk about in a bit. It's not just competing, it's a lifestyle. How much would you support that?
100%. When you see an athlete on the track, that is just a small percentage of what's going on behind. That's why athletes always thank the people behind the scenes. You could not be there. I would never be on the start line at the Olympic Games without a team of people behind me. And that could range from anyone, the man down the street, your coach, your physio, your nutritionist, anyone, your missus, your partners, anyone you can think of will support you, is a vital tool in getting me into the start line. Because like you said, I'm going to need to be able to be eating well, sleeping well, training well, getting my recovery in, go and see a sports nutritionist, go and see this person, go and get a treatment after I train. So there's a whole regime that athletes do on a daily basis. Sometimes subconsciously don't even know they're doing it, because they're drilled into repeat. Like when we was warming up earlier, everything we did twice. You know, they keep going over things to make sure they're not trying to be perfectionists. They're trying to make it so subconsciously they're not thinking.
Second nature.
So it's a second nature. You wake up. We know, for us, we only get a month out of the year rest. Only 4 weeks. The rest of the 11 months is full on track and field running. So even Christmas Day, there'll be athletes before they eat doing runs and stuff like that. Boxing Day, New Year's Eve, you know, because we always say the World Championship final doesn't know you got a Christmas Day. So for you, me sitting at home eating for the Christmas break, there's 20 other athletes training. So I'm not going to give them the opportunity to get 4 or 5 days training in while I'm sitting at home enjoying family time.
Yeah.
You know, so athletes are very determined, and it's a short-lived sport.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure we do all our best in the time we have.
Yeah.
Because you never know, we could literally, you know, be gone in the next year. You might not be that good the following year. So
Yeah.
we try and do everything.
Especially with you know, athletes, no matter what your background, it's known predominantly. I know there's some exceptions, but predominantly, no matter which craft you're in, when it comes down to sport, a fairly short career. You know,
Yeah.
it might be 10, might be 15 years. Sometimes at a push, it might be a little bit longer than that. So you need to have the right nutrition, the right team around you, like you said. But you've also got to utilise the time. I think a lot of people forget that life is not a rehearsal. You do get one shot at it, and you either maximise your time and get the best out of it, or you waste it. With myself, with business, at the very early days, I was quite known as being a bit militant, because I used to make people work on bank holidays. But the way I saw it is, we're trying to get ahead, and the only way we're going to get ahead is
by doing these days,
like you got to do other things which other people are not willing to do to get ahead. Obviously you need that break time to reflect and recharge, but I think it's important to put that hard work and effort in. I want to talk about Olympics. So there's a guy down my boxing gym who's he's going to get onto the world scene very soon, a guy called Josh Kelly, boxer, phenomenal. Then you got people like Michael Phelps, you know, Olympian, you know, been medalled so many times. And what I notice about anyone who's gone into the Olympics, they all have that tattoo.
The rings.
And for me, if I was in the Olympics, no matter where I came, even if I was the water boy, I would get one of them bloody things, because it's such a proud thing to have. But the difference is, that was from the 2012 Olympic Games. So talk to me about that. I mean, that must be not just a proud moment for you, but your family, your children, everyone.
Starting with the rings. The rings is just a symbol of I did it. It's a reminder of, not that you need much reminding, but it's just athletes get that as a symbol of, they know they're one of many. Very few people get the opportunity to be able to say they're an Olympian. Even very few people get the opportunity to say they had an Olympics in their home city. So for me, it was literally a no-brainer. That's a constant reminder. You look at the rings, all you see, sacrifice, hard work, dedication, ups, downs, injuries, and all that stuff. So it symbolises a whole movement and personal.
Like a badge of honour. It's
a badge of honour to you. Even though we all got the same rings, it's literally, their rings mean totally different things to my rings. But but the whole Olympic thing for me started about 3 years before the actual games. Because leading up to the games, I was, really doing really well world-wise. I got a few medals and everything, but we always have the Olympics in the back of our mind, and being at home added pressure that you have to be there. It's very difficult to having the Olympics in London. You're a stone throw away, and you say you're not going, because everyone's going to say, I thought you training for it. Because people don't realise you have to qualify for the Olympics. You don't just enter the Olympics.
There's a lot of pressure there.
So at the time I was a youth worker, so I had those guys, that for me, I wanted to inspire. I had my kids growing up, and like I said, for me, the pressure came from not myself, just not letting everyone else down, because they're really looking out for you. They want you to do well, and they want to come and support you. So the pressure wasn't for me. I knew what I need to do to go, but it's everyone else. They wasn't aware of how hard it is to actually qualify, because you have to run a specific time to even get entered to go. So you have to run about 45 seconds, 45.4 seconds, which I achieved that. And at the time, you had to be in the top 3 in the country to go. So, and I achieved that on the day. So all of that came down on one day. If I was a little bit slower on the day, I wouldn't be in the Olympics for the individual. I might have been in the relay. And because the pressure of everyone else, which is going to come with the sport, you just have to deal with that, handle that, channel that in the right way. Don't think about it too much. Just know you have to go and make the team. And for me, the easiest bit was saying that, okay, we're going to the Olympics, not just me, because like I said, everyone else supported me on my journey, and that was one of the best thing, knowing you've done all your hard work, your dedication, the sacrifice you made with your friends to say, I can't come to this stag do, I can't go to your wedding, I can't come to that party. They all realised, oh, this is what you were working for all them years before. So all my no's, I had to back them up by going, and I can't go, you know. So that's one of the hardest things, saying no for about 3 years. I can't do that, I got this, I got this competition in 3 years' time I'm working on, so I can't come to your party now. You know, it's really hard having those conversations, but once you were there, they really admire that and they see the determination. So.
Yeah, it's I like that, because you're talking about a race, and granted a massive one, representing your country and being a part of something very, very special. But you're talking about 3 years away. Yeah. And many people, what they won't realise, and this can be transferable, this message, to anything that you're doing, but people would be like, well, what do you mean? It's 3 years' time. I mean, it's not 6 months away or a year away. You're talking about 3 years' time. So why can't you come out now?
Yeah, I mean, the general thing was, oh, you got loads of time. You know, they were saying, you got us. For me, I was like, I've got less than, you know, I said I got 36 months. Yeah. That's not a lot of time in my eyes. That is going to go like that. Yeah. Within those time, I had 3 months off to myself. Yeah. So there's 33 months of solid, hard work, just working, grafting, making sure you're in the right shape at the right time. Yeah. You know, so that's why for us, businesses, like you said, they always come to athletes. We've always done talks with businesses because they like when we give this message across, because they can see how transferable it is to the business end. Because you'd have a company, I remember I did a talk for IBM of same thing about, you know, goal setting, drive, determination, waking up every morning. Like I said, 3 years race planned in my head, knowing the date, how you're going to work towards that race 3 years before. Okay. And what makes you wake up every morning, want to make sure you're there, you know, in July 23rd at the Olympic Stadium. Yeah. You know, when you're now in 2011 and you're thinking, I've got a year left. But in 2010, you're already thinking about this race. Yeah. You know, so it's just something, like I said, we do subconsciously, but. And
there must be, with goals, I mean, my background is predominantly in sales, and what makes a great salesperson is the transfer of enthusiasm. And the reason why an individual has enthusiasm, because they really understand what their goals and their vision is for the future. They've got a big why attached to it, and they get emotionally driven by it. Yeah. So when they wake up in the morning, they have got this grit and determination because they know their purpose for that day. Yeah. With athletes, it's got to be the same, because you must visualise taking part, winning certain races and seeing your goal achieved in your own mind. Yeah, exactly. And I think with athletics, nothing guaranteed. You could be in the best shape of your life, running really well, 2 years out, and then 3 months before that, you're in a good race, something happens. Well, it's a little bit like pull a hamstring or whatever. What happened to one of your, I wouldn't say teammates because he's in a different sport, but one of the other Olympians, Joshua, who you got to know. Had, you know, credible body. You know, he looks like he's been carved out of stone. The guy. You know, undefeated, and then suddenly got turned over by a guy that was shouldn't have beat him. Yeah, but there you go. Yeah, it just shows you one punch can change something. One punch. I mean, me and like the thing, Joshua was in our building in the Olympics, so we had. You got to know him. On the time, at the time we was scheduled as, so we was in the same apartment block in the Olympics. So, and I remember him signing I've got a plaque with about 13 or 14 Olympians from the same apartment, and he signed it Anto Joshua boxing back in the day, from 2012. So I was like, but it's more of a, good luck, make sure you do well, because the schedule and everything in the Olympics, I'll be up at 7, breakfast, he'd be getting his sleep. So he's passing by and we talk, and once he's finished, we get to see them. However, with the busy schedule, we just do our little bit in the corridor and stuff. But again, it was a case from then, you saw the journey, and there was only so many people you can talk to that can go, how was your journey to the same team? You know, it's like, how did you get here? We know you're the part of the team, but how hard was it for you to get to this team? What was your journey like? Yeah. And those are the things we do once we're at the games, because we've never really come across boxers in my sport. We don't come across divers, you know.
things like that. Tom Daly, the names, Chris Hoy, Nicola Adams, they're all part of that same Olympic team.
Yeah.
And these are people you see walking past, talking, but at the games, we're in awe of them just as much as they're in awe, thinking, these are the guys that are doing the athletics, those are the guys that are doing the cycling, thinking.
There's that common respect, because you've all gone through that sacrifice.
Yeah.
There's going to be days where mostly and mentally you're drained, but
Yeah.
you're still pushed on, and they all respect that grueling journey that you've all gone through, which I love.
Yeah, athletes got athletes are not, they're very reserved. They play down what they do. They're never really the ones, even boxers, when you see them athletes and sports people, the boxers have to do that to sell the tickets. But deep down, they're very humble, they're very relaxed generally. And if you see the Olympic Village and you see the amount of class, when you're looking around, you're thinking that's Venus Williams right there. Her accolade speaks for itself. And you can go over there and sit down and talk just normally. Bolt's right there, Federer's right there, and you're thinking these are people that are pinnacle of their sport, but they're willing to have a conversation and find out how hard was it just to get it, just to sit down.
Yeah.
And both of us talking like this, and they don't put themselves on a pedestal by no means. They're interested to hear anyone's journey. So and that's one of the best part for me of the games, when you see all these sporting legends or greats come together and they're talking like they've met before.
Yeah.
And generally they've probably never come across much tennis players in my field.
And what I love about sports people, again, no matter which type of sport they're in, especially Olympians, is you all got that one thing in common, which is the will to win.
Yeah.
So when you did, talk to me about when you did get accepted for the Olympic Games. What was that feeling like?
For me, because I knew what to do, so I had to be in the top 2 in the country on the particular day at the UK trials. So once I got that time on the same day, I knew I didn't have to qualify, so I knew I had to make the team. However, I had to wait for it to be announced and get the official letter sent over and sent through. Once the letter come home and I see the letter and it's in black and white, that's when the sigh of relief is that it's been done. Now the hard bit is done. Now let's go and have fun, because you've made the team. Like I said, the hardest race for me wasn't even in the Olympics. It was in Birmingham, a few weeks before, to make the team, because that was the race you have to do well. There's no going back after this. After that race, you got 4 years to do that race again. So the Olympics was, I know it's there, but I have to deal with this race right now. So once I did all that, got the letters, and you see it in black and white, then it comes out in the papers and you see your name there, you're thinking, this is actually happening. And then that's when the phone calls come in and the meetings come in, and this suddenly you're now thrust into limelight, go there, do your meetings, go and do this, go and do that.
Yeah.
And everything. But that's what you were dreaming of.
Yeah.
That's what you trained for. That's why when it was cold and rainy, you get up. That's when your coach says one more rep, you get up and you try and get that one more rep. You were doing it all for that moment. And it's a moment you can't really, you think you can plan for, until when you get it, you're just somehow in a shock and you're like, I'm actually going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
Then the celebration that I had in your mind is never what you actually do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You could plan for it all you want, but that celebration is always organic.
Yeah, go off of instinct in the moment.
Yeah, you can't just go, I'm going to celebrate like this, or I can't wait, I'm going to do that, I'm going to walk like that. It's never, you always undercut it. No matter how high you think you're going to do it, you always undercut it and come in way lower with enthusiasm, even though inside you are beaming. They can see it.
Yeah.
And most people, like I said, each 5 years after the Olympics, they sent you out a card telling you how long was your last Olympics. So that's another moment to remind you. It says once an Olympian, always an Olympian. And they've had people from, so I had my first one, and that came through the post. And that's another reminder of someone else telling you, right, you were an Olympian, even though you know it and you see it to get that card sent through from outside source, just to let you know you'll always be part of the Olympic committee, and you're part of the Olympic community, and they send you out a card with signed and everything. So that's another thing to go, do you know what, I achieved something in my life that is bloody significant. So, things like that.
So as an Olympian or playing or representing your country, am I right in saying it's a bit like football actually, where the footballers for their actual country, they don't get paid for it, they get obviously getting paid by their by their club, whether it's Chelsea or whoever. But there are endorsements, there's companies that approach you. So we were speaking just off camera a little bit about that. So I imagine as soon as you get that badge of honour, you're Olympian, you must get the phone calls, and it must be quite enticing sometimes and quite, I don't know, you feel like you want to say yes to everything, but then at the same time, it's got to be congruent to your own brand. Yeah,
now for me, that's the thing. On the way up, 2011/12, once you got the teams out, everyone knows this is the team, these are the Olympians. Like you said, there are companies, with the Olympics, most companies want to be part of that, because it's a massive market to advertise. And the best way to do it is with the athletes. And for me, I was getting calls. I was on my way to Arizona, and I got called from BMW to say, how would you like to be part of our BMW program for the next couple of years, the Olympics and all that stuff, because they were the sponsor of Olympics. And me, being me, I was like, well, straight away. I was like, the guy didn't even finish the sentence. I was like, yep, I'm on board. He didn't even tell me what I have to do or anything. It was like, once you came back, we would have a contract written up and everything. And I was sponsored by BMW, going from getting the bus to training and stuff like that. I had a car at the time, but it was playing up. I was about to change, I think the head gasket was gone. So it was a call for me. Now being, at the time, looking back, I'm thinking, BMW calling me. I'm thinking, how did I get my number? And then within 3 weeks, I was up in Enfield picking out a car of my choice from BMW.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Now, for a kid grew up in South London, things like that don't happen to. Do you know what I mean? I was the face of Mitchum, the deodorant company. So I was doing adverts for them. The list goes on. Adidas, I was part of Adidas. I was the face of the BA campaign. So British Airways, I was one of the banners and everything like that. So imagine these companies are giving you a call, say we want to meet up with you. It's very hard, like you said, to go, nah, I'm alright, I'm just gonna stay here and just, you'd be like, well, for sure, I'm gonna be part of those names and those brands, Beats. We're giving out headphones and stuff. They say come down, just be around, just whatever, things like that. Loads of sponsorship came through. Some I've turned down, that I thought I still have to train. By me going off and going there, my ultimate goal is to still perform at the games. My thinking was, anyone that takes me away from the training too much wouldn't be part of my circle, because that means I won't be able to perform the same way I got here. I won't be able to perform after I got here. So it was all about how much time you need me away from my training facility, and can you tie it with my training up after the training. And I always pick the ones who are a bit more open and a bit more flexible with stuff like that. Aviva, they were always a sponsor. So like I said, there was like loads of companies, because your federation doesn't always don't pay you unless you run the Olympic program, so you won't get any funding from them. So and there was about 5 people on the team, me included, that wasn't funded by the athletic board that year, that was on the team. So so you have to get outside support and stuff like that. So that's one of the biggest things in track and field.
And you know what you just said there, I really admire, because I had a podcast interview with a friend of mine now, Anton Ferdinand. And we were talking about the psychology of predominantly football players, but I guess it's the same thing with any athlete. So the discipline and focus has to be from an early age to get to your, let's say, your goal. But then when you get there, you start getting these other people approach you in the form of companies for endorsements, and money comes, and you become famous, whether that's nationally, internationally. You're on TV, adverts, all this kind of stuff. The extra discipline that is bolted onto that is not allowing certain things to go to your own head, because I've seen it certainly with boxers and footballers predominantly, maybe because of the amount of money that they might be on, maybe. It's almost suddenly means that because now they've got this endorsement or they've got there, it can distract them from actually the thing that got them in the first place, which is hard work, determination, discipline, and that sheer want to be the absolute very best. Because if you lose that spark or that moment, which actually makes you Olympian or an athlete, everything can fall away very quickly.
Yeah, and that's what you see. It's very, remember, it's for these young lads coming up, playing football or running. When you got a company like Nike, Adidas, who suddenly, 2 years ago, you were just getting the bus, coming to training, but still good, running well. You could go from one race where you go, your life changed. And it's suddenly a company like Nike, right, we're flying you out to Oregon, we're gonna make you your own shoe, we're gonna give you personalized bags, we're gonna take you there. So you going from getting the bus to training, to now got a car to training. Now we're gonna fly you out to San Francisco, you're gonna do a promo, you're gonna now go to the Diamond Leagues. So suddenly they throw a lot of, not money and stuff, but different scenarios with you. So that some of the athletes, it plays with them, it goes in their head, and some of them forget what got them there. And if you take 4 months of traveling around and forgetting your craft, they're gonna diminish over time. And if you don't perform as well as you were, the same company is gonna say, well, you're not good enough anymore. See you later. So it's a double-edged sword. You know, you want to go and promote yourself, you want to get your name out there, but just make sure you don't do it at the cost of forgetting your craft, because you will suffer, and they will replace you with someone else who are doing it either quicker or better or whatever it is. And with athletes, they're the same. It's just, even if you're a senior athlete, it's just your situation change, and your circle, you try and keep it. That's why you try and keep your circle the same. You don't suddenly just leave what was there that got you there, because you will at some point will need them to actually support you or help you or give you advice. And because once everything's going well in running and stuff like that, probably even football, once you're scoring goals, everyone's your friend, everyone's like supporting you and everything. You start missing penalties, you start being a sub, you're in the reserve team, you're looking around, you're thinking, hang on, where's everyone gone? You know, suddenly your team doesn't there no more, but they weren't part of it. They're only part of the end. And you have to make sure you know the ones who were there. And it is a tricky one to give young athletes all that attention, because they're never used to it. You want it, but you don't know how to deal with it once you got it. And that's the hard thing.
It's like the going back to the Ferdinand interview I had. He said that it's more about the financial side of things, but as he was growing up, there wasn't really proper financial mentors or people giving them lessons about what they could invest their money into, which was going to be safe. There's too many sharks out there, he said. So what he wants to do when he retires, whether that's going to be now or maybe in a year or two's time, is go back to football and actually educate a lot of people on the financial
side of things.
And then also mentorship, like the psychology of when you get to a certain level, you can have all these endorsements, all these fans, all these people throwing themselves at you, and managing the expectations every step of the way. And I think it's very, very important. So you got to the Olympics, but it wasn't just as simple as that. I know you explained about training and stuff, but what about other like pinnacle moments? Like you've done stuff in Europe, and you know, you've had other competitions, and your background, because obviously I can hear from your tone, from Jamaica originally, your family, but you represented Great Britain. So what's the kind of heritage there, like, you know?
For me, it's I was born and bred in Jamaica, so I
love to go there, by the way. I've never been.
Jamaica's lovely. I went there last year, took my family over there to go meet the other side, their grands and great grands and stuff. Yeah, so born and bred in Jamaica, grew up over there till I was about 14, and moved to England in '96. So, yeah, ever since from that went to school here, everything black with blue coats. Me and Anton Ferdinand went same school actually.
Really?
Yeah, so he was a couple years below me.
Oh,
so
wow.
I knew Anton from school. So
Small world.
yeah, very small. So
And then you knew Ruben,
I knew Ruben that trained with us. Yeah, so Anton was in my same school and a couple of years below.
Peckham.
Blackheath Bluecoats.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but from then, my athletics career started when I was 21, 22. From then, school, did loads of little jobs and that. I was an ice cream man in Dulwich Park. I was a carpet man in Lewisham. Till athletics was the one where literally that was my thing, my calling, as they can say. And yeah, but in athletic terms, I've got 9 global medals.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's European champion, Commonwealth champion, Commonwealth finalist, European, and I got 3 world indoor medals. So I got the British record for the 500 meters. I got the British Masters record, indoor and outdoor, so for the M35. Yeah, so one of the only Brits to run a 100 meter PB and a 400 meter PB on the same day.
Amazing.
So, which is, I don't think it's been done before. so there's loads of accolades and stuff that comes with it. I got the British, I think. The British inter-counties record and the British League record for the Division 1. So there's loads of accolades and records on the way and things like that. So, but like I said, the Olympic is the one that stood out because it's the main one. But the World Championships was my main medal winning ones because I win about 5 medals just from the World Championships alone.
Okay.
And those are the things that propelled you to the next stage, you know, and then that's everyone start looking at, you know, this guy's really dedicated in his craft. He really focused on what he's doing, you know. And he came from an unconventional background, wasn't running all the way up till 21. He went through the channels. So that's why when I say home city and stuff like that, is because I've been doing my athletics here. I didn't start it in Jamaica and then come here. It was all learned, taught, picked up in London. So that's why I always try and make my best to give back or do anything I can to help out here, because that's how I came in.
So your journey isn't over yet.
No.
You're, what would you say, semi-retired or not? Or?
Pretty much retired. I got one more song and dance on the 21st of July this year.
Okay.
At the
This month?
This month, yeah. So I got the anniversary games coming up. I'm doing the Legends Relay, which is a 4x1 race.
Okay.
And so that's another good thing for me to be even part of that field, for them to even call me a legend.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's like, you know, I've only packed it up about a year ago, and for them to even, because it's really hard to get that status in England, you have to be noticed or done something, you know, to even get that.
Well, you have to be a legend.
Well, there you go. Yeah, to get not everyone's got that. So, and it's just little things like that too. So for me, I've got that going. I'm a full-time pretty much coach now. So I'm coaching at the King's College London.
Okay.
Head coach there. So that's where I'm putting all my energy.
For athletics.
Athletics, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where my challenge comes now, to trying to get someone to make the team in 2022 for the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. So
is that your own? Have you got your own company, or was it on behalf of?
No, so I'm coaching for the uni.
Okay.
Yeah. So my actual company, if you want to call it, or academy, will be Headband Sports Academy.
Okay.
So that will be my group, but predominantly those one incorporate the kids that I coach is from King's College London. Yeah. But they'll be on the Headband Sports Academy. So that's where from 9-year-old all the way up to senior level. Yeah. Will be. So I'm trying to just get everyone pass on the tricks that I know. And it's just, you know, so far it's going well. You know, we got I advise quite a lot of people. Even at the moment, I'm helping out guys in Australia via messaging or FaceTime, things like that. Even in Kuwait, I'm helping out teams there. So these are old people that see what I've done and thinking, well, let me go and pick his brain and get some advice and see what he thinks about,
What you said earlier about it solidifies the message that sport training together actually brings a whole heap of different people from different parts of the world's continents completely together. And even if they're not in person, you just share that common respect.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know you're all about goals and vision to like win races and stuff. Where are you going to see yourself in the next 5 or 10 years, Conrad?
Goal setting for me is just to get, like I said, my immediate goal is just trying to get one of the athletes to make that 2022, maybe 2024 team.
Okay.
It seems like a million years away, but in athletic terms, you need that time to grow, because I'm trying to work with the younger athletes to try and get them there. If I get a polished athletes that are already there, then that's great. But for me, it's just trying to get the brand, the Headband Academy, up and running to make sure that's the main thing. To just try and get the Headband brand out there. They know that's athletics, that's coaching. It's not necessarily just for athletics. It's basically based on speed, ability, agility, strength and conditioning. So it could be any sport. So I wanted to open it up to sports rather than just athletics.
Just pigeonhole.
Yeah, I didn't. Because it's sport. Speed is for most sports. You know, strength and conditioning is for everything.
I wanted to touch on just slightly about the training session that we went through, because I'm not a track runner. I predominantly do boxing. I do put my hand in a couple other things, but mostly boxing. But there's some transferable training things that we were doing in there, which I can definitely use for boxing. So just a couple of things that you done with me. Walk me through that.
So we started on the back squats. First of all, we started with the drills, the walking drills. For me, that's just help with the coordination, timing, just to get your mind working, warming up the legs. It also just get the core temperature going.
Okay.
And so we went from there to the back squats. From the back squats, obviously that's for power. We did 2 variations. One static one where we go down in 6 seconds, came back up in about 6 seconds. That's just to tension the muscles, muscle endurance. And we did the reps where we go nice and come down low, explode it up. Again, to just determine control, down, power back up. Then we went for the clean jerk press, which is a transferable one where you had to clean the bar, go all the way down and press it above your head. And we got the bands out for the glutes and strengthen up the glutes. That one really hurt. I always try and get that one out, because most people realise there's muscles that we're not using every day that need activating, and that's why
that was tough.
It hurts, because those little muscles that they're working in the background, we not know they're quite there until we actually put some resistance on it. And then you go, oh boy, there they are. And that's just a nice little transferable. And then we can then go into specific stuff, because I've got a footballer that I coach as well.
Nice.
To get him, and we do loads of strength and exercise and core and glute work to make sure he's nice and strong. He can go left, he can go right.
It's good.
So like I said, I always make sure it's sports related rather than just athletics related.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I've got about 3 or 4 more questions. So the first one is, anyone looking to get into athletics, or maybe they're young and they're drawing a lot of motivation, inspiration and a bit of an education from this podcast interview.
Yeah.
They wanted to get into maybe business, but they want to take your mindset and transfer it over to there. What sort of basic life lessons you could give them, tips of wisdom? What would you suggest to young boys or girls listening to this thinking, okay, I want to give them a bit of guidance here?
Yeah, for me, if you're saying young, particularly like 14 plus, you have to be patient. The first thing, you got to be patient. Don't look across thinking, how come they're so far ahead? Don't look across thinking, I wish I could do that. Know your target, know what you're trying to get to, know your goals, set your goals, don't go crazy, set immediate goals, set realistic ones. And once you achieve those, then make them a bit higher. You know, don't suddenly go, I want a company like Google in the 2 years. You know that takes time. You just say, I want to be able to have 3 people working with me in the next 3-4 years or whatever. And you just work slowly towards your goal. Don't try and rush to get there, because you don't want to make loads of mistakes on the way. Fewer mistakes, the better. You know, you want to learn the craft, ask questions, you know, find people that are doing it, ask multiple questions, find out how they did it.
Continue learning, basically.
Just never stop thinking you know everything. You know, always, I still look at different sport. I still ask my coach. I still talk to them about stuff that I'm doing. Where can I get this? How do you write a program? Because you will always find a new idea or a new person willing to help if you ask about a question. Always seek information, and that will just help you grow. And they can tell you, I've always asked them, what mistakes did you make? So I can be aware of them if I come across them in my own, you know, field and everything like that. So stuff like that, I always tell the young athletes or anyone trying to get into business, there will be mistakes, you will get stuff wrong, but don't let that discourage you. Just wake up willing to thinking, right, I'm here to make a difference. This is a long process. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We're trying to get there. Once we're there, then we can go, right, what's next? Then you have to, you know, reevaluate and go again.
Good man, I like that. What would you say has been the best moment of, normally I would say your career, but let's say your life? I know Olympics is a great one. Is it that, or is there any other pinnacle moments you say, you know what, that really defined me as a character?
I think for me, winning the 4x4 gold in Glasgow 2014, when we were nowhere near the favourites to do that. We had Jamaicans, Bahamas, Trinidad, and we was up in Glasgow. It was chucking it down with rain.
I was going to say, it must have been cold.
Yeah, it was freezing cold. It was just, but we were like, we live in England, we're used to this rubbish weather. Them boys are from the Caribbean, so they love the sun. So we was trying to tell ourselves, we can flip this in our minds and said, we run in rain, we're used to the cold. But these Caribbean boys, they're not used to it.
They're going to be shocked.
Yeah, they're like freezing. So we try and pretend we wasn't cold. You know, we were taking our stuff off, trying to look like this ain't bothering us, but deep down, we were freezing. So we trying to play mind games because we knew we wasn't the favourite. We had, the Trinidad team was stacked with world champion this, and they were coming off a really good year the previous year. And we had our new kid on the block, Matt Hudson. So we put him on the last leg against Bahamas, Chris Brown. And Chris Brown is literally a life legend in 400 metre running. So to put the new kid on the block versus the old school legend who's proven himself over 3 Olympics that he is the man to try and beat. And the last leg, it came down to 2 attempts where our guy just out-dipped Chris Brown on the line and we won. And I think it was that moment, because it was here, not necessarily in England, but in Britain, it was live. It was just, because we've got such massive support and fans and everything else, it was good for them, what we didn't get to do in London. And I think that was, even making the Olympics and everything, that was my moment of.
Endorphins and euphoria must have been heightened to the max.
I mean, it was just, I couldn't even, like I said, in my mind I thought, yeah, I'm going to celebrate. But all I can remember, it was just the girls who went before us, they finished. And I just saw Christina Rugu just run and just took me out with the biggest cuddle in the world. I was out there and everyone came out. I didn't even know what to do, because our guy I picked him up off the floor and I turned around and all I can see is because the girls team just finished getting bronze in their race. So I turned around and I just think, and I was like, I'm tired, but I don't care. I'm just gonna, and then he's there, we did a lap. We walked around the stadium as a little lap of honour. So yeah, for that moment, walking around, everyone just high-fiving, well done. This people I've never met, people I don't know, they might have seen me, some of them wouldn't have even known. Funny enough, this is the same headband.
Good luck.
Yeah, so Yeah, so things like that was my moment of glory. Yeah.
And flipping it then, most people will say, what's your worst moment? But I'm going to say, reframe it and say, your most challenging moment, or a moment where you could have easily given it all up and think, you know what, I'm going to take an easier route in life.
I would say probably 2008, when it was the Olympic trials, when at Birmingham I finished 8th. And it was that point I was like, do you actually want to do this? Is this a thing of, are you just trying to do it because you're getting a couple companies interested in you, people noticing you when you're walking around? Are you doing this for the right reasons? Are you actually really want to become an athlete and what it's worth? Or you're doing it because your Twitter is going up or your followers are going up? And I was like, I sat down and I said, you know what, next year I'm going to really challenge myself, train twice as hard, you know, do new things, don't just do the amount I was given. Really raise the bar, go that extra 5-10%. That's all I needed just to get over the head. And then that's when I linked up with Linford Christie, and then from that moment, yeah, it was just picking his brain, like I said, learning, listening. And the biggest compliment he said to me was, you're not even running to your potential yet. And that's the kick up the bum I needed for him to say that, mate, you're talented, get on with it. And he said, you're not even close to your potential. That was the moment I was like, now I need to start working twice as hard if he's telling me that.
It really, really supports my beliefs of having the right people around you. You either in life invest your time into drains, people that drain your energy from you and throw negativity or energy into your space, or they radiate you. You know, you actually become the very, very best version of you, and it's important to have the right core group and mentors around you. So there's 2 life lessons there with that. So the last thing I always leave my podcast on is be happy, never content. It's my catchphrase.
Right.
I've got my own reason why I say it. I would like to hear your interpretation. If I were to say, Conrad, give us your interpretation of be happy, never content.
Never just content with not knowing, not learning, not finding out new information, not talking to new people, learning what they're about. The be happy bit is just to laugh, have a joke, laugh at yourself, joke around. Life can be stressful. Find the fun in some of the things that you do. Don't just sit there, dwell on things. Think positively, because it does help. It might not help you at the time, but it might help someone else. You know, you got to be positive. You got to think of, you know, how can I?
It's infectious.
Yeah, you show someone else. You could be going through loads of stuff, but someone else might be having a worse day than you, and you just being a little bit more happy, a bit more jolly. That's one of my things in training. I'm the class clown. I'm the joker. I'm always laughing around. Just naturally what I do, because I think as an athlete that people look up to, you will rub off on a lot of people. I've had people, athletes said, you know what, how come even when you run, I wish you look angry sometime. I'm like, well, I can't look angry now. This is my fun time. I'm enjoying it. I've been training so hard in the winter. Summertime is fun for me. This is my payoff. So I've always said, you know, never content with just staying where you are. You know, always think, how can I grow? How can I be better about something? How can I learn more how to do this thing? You know, and just on the journey, just literally try and be happy with everything. You know, just smile, say hello. Manners get you, you know, miles in this world, and just things like that for me, to be honest. Yeah.
Good man. Conrad, thank you very much for coming on the Steven Sully Study and sharing your information with me and both. So it's been an honour training with you and getting information from you, and I'm definitely inspired, and I've learned a couple more things today, so thank you very much.
No worries, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.